Thank you very much, Bryn. Yep, there we are. We've got, thankfully, a full quota of Fiestas this time around. 5 cars on the grid for the Fiesta Junior Championship. And we were missing Alfie Glennie from the grid for race 1 earlier on today, but he is there now, thankfully. And race 1 was an interesting race, actually, with you may look at a 5-car grid and think that this isn't going to be particularly entertaining, but we had a good dice in the early stages between Ollie Turner, the championship leader, and Joel Wren in second position, and it was Wren that had the had the lead early on, and then Turner, after a bad start, sort of dropped behind him, was harrying him, got past, and then never really was able to pull away. And just as he started to pull away, he had an engine fault problem and ended up pulling off and handing the victory to Joel Wren. So Wren, therefore, as a result of that victory, ends up on pole position with Joseph Loke alongside him. Ted Potts and Ollie Turner make up row number 2, whilst Alfie Glennie will be at the back of the grid after failing to start the race earlier on today. But he's out there on the green flag lap and is looking strong now. He's a quick driver, is Alfie, 3rd in the championship. He was going into this weekend. He may have lost that to Joseph Loke, possibly. It's certainly going to be tight between the two of them. But Glennie, arriving here at Brands Hatch, was only 2 points behind Ted Potts, who was 2nd in the championship. And Ted didn't have a brilliant race. He was 3rd, but that wasn't quite as strong as it could have been, obviously. So it's definitely possible that Glennie, had he got out there for that race, might have moved into 2nd place in the championship. But that's how your fortunes can change. And of course, Ollie Turner found that out as well with a non-finish, so for Glennie he would have been even more frustrated. He could have actually closed right in on the championship lead, but it wasn't meant to be, and he ends up with a non-finish, does Ollie Turner. That's a rare thing, actually, for Ollie not to finish races this year. He's been very consistent, and that has generated a lot of championship points for him as well, which he's now hoping to add to, once again, in this second race on 15 minutes here today. No delayed start this time, so hopefully no confusion over whether or not the race has started, which we'll gloss over. We did see a bit of that in race 1. We had to delay the start even further, which is why the race was then shortened to 12 minutes, and we should be able to get the full 15 in now this afternoon. So Joel Wren, Joseph Loke and Ted Potts then, your top 3 on the grid. The other 2 were non-finishers from this morning's first race. What will happen in race number 2 here at Brands Hatch? Wren and Loke on pole on the front row together. Not a good start made by Ted Potts, though. That really hurt Alfie Glennie's run into the first corner. At the head of the field, though, it looks like Joel Wren is going to just about do enough to hang on from Joseph Loke on the outside. Yes, he does. And Loke didn't want to turn in there because he didn't know where Ollie Turner was. And Ollie Turner from the outside of row 2 is already up the inside for 2nd place as they head into Druids for the first time. And he will go ahead. So Ollie Turner then into P2 after a really good launch off the line and a committed run through the first corner, and he is now into 2nd. So it's Wren that leads the way, Turner 2nd, 3rd place then for Joseph Loke from the outside of row 1, with Ted Potts and Alfie Glennie trying to find a way past him. The field heads out of Graham Hill Bend, back along the Cooper Straight, and into that left-hander at Surtees on cold tyres. This is a daunting part of the circuit. It's the Tom Bell racing car of Joel Wren that leads them through towards the completion of lap 1, with Ollie Turner looking fired up here, and understandably so after the disaster of the first race. Top 3 though, nose to tail, absolutely as one as they come across the start finish line. Then the slow starting Potts, who has regrouped in 4th place at least, to paddock through the very quick right-hander, and Ollie Turner looks particularly quick through there on that occasion. Closes right in on Joel Wren, but this is the situation we had at the start of race 1, where they were together and Wren was defending nicely, eventually did leave the door open though, and it was a mistake a bit like that that started the whole thing off. On this occasion though, he gets the inside line for Graham Hill Bend. Exit speed though should be better for Turner behind, who's going to try and set him up for a move down the Cooper Straight, but actually the 3rd place man, Loke, is quicker than both of them off the corner. So the 3 of them, you could throw a handkerchief over the lot of them through Surtees. Still the same order, but this is the kind of racing we have come to expect really from the Fiesta Junior Championship. Again, not the biggest grid, but it's a close field, and as you can see, they're all very evenly matched. Not really anything in it. Joel Wren briefly with the fastest lap, but then Ted Potts, who I thought had put in a good lap there. He has indeed been able to set the fastest lap of the race, but the fastest lap in race 1 earlier on was set by Ollie Turner. It was a 58.489, so we're still about 1.3 seconds or so away from the fastest lap pace from race 1. It may not be on fresh tyres though. These grooved tyres, the MRF tyres they run on over the course of the weekend, they'll have a limited amount of sets actually to last them the whole season probably. So they will not be able to use a fresh set of tyres every time they go out on track. Ooh, Turner having a look through clearways, but no, too far back in the end, but tried to force the mistake out of the leading car. But that tight line in doesn't help your exit speed, and these cars are limited, remember, in horsepower and top speed because they're junior cars, they're junior racing cars, so you take a standard Ford Fiesta racing car and limit the top speed to 100 miles an hour, and you've got yourself a junior racing car, and that means that you don't have, they're a bit less forgiving. If you make a mistake coming off a corner, it will really hurt you because you don't have the power to build the speed back up all that quickly then on the run to the next turn, and that's what we saw there from Turner. I think took that tight line into Clark Curve, or Clearways, and that meant that through Clark Curve he wasn't quite as quick. So through Surtees then, Turner has to be careful here because actually Joseph Loke is showing much better pace now than he did in the previous race. In fact, he's got the fastest lap, a 58.762. His best lap in race 1, Joseph Loke, was a 58.6, so he's already going nearly down on his fastest lap pace. Loke, the red and white car in third, showing promise in this one. It's promising to be a very close race actually between the front runners as they head through Paddock Hill Bend, through the dip, up Halewood Hill underneath the bridge. And they drop back down the hill again, so this undulating circuit at Brands Hatch, a real favourite amongst the drivers, and that's why it was chosen as one of the venues to hold a Fiesta Junior taster session yesterday afternoon, a couple of taster sessions in fact, so that drivers who were maybe considering going out and learning and joining in the Fiesta Junior Championship had a chance to check out the cars. And well, there's a problem I think with the race leading car, is there, because all of a sudden Joel Wren flicked the indicator on and slowed. And yes, he is. Well, it was Ollie Turner's car that slowed in race 1, and now it's Joel Wren from the race lead who, in exactly the same situation, suddenly slows going out to the final turn and drops right to the back of the order. I don't believe that. That is remarkable. And Joel Wren, sadly, has had to hand away what looked like it could have been a race victory, and the car is struggling to make it up Halewood Hill and will now lose out to Alfie Glennie as well. So unfortunately, Joel Wren is out of the race, or is he out of the race? He's actually picked up speed again now coming down the hill, but the car clearly seems to have some sort of or it's Alfie Glennie's car. I think two cars are breaking down together here because Alfie Glennie's car is now slow as well. This is remarkable. I think both of the cars have got problems and they're sort of racing each other and also at the same time possibly just heading back into the pit lane. This is bizarre. So there they are, look, through Surtees, and Glennie had got past Wren and now Wren slows again, so Glennie's going to carry on. In fact, so is Wren, so this is very strange, but neither car seems particularly healthy and they both seem to have the same intermittent problem that's just slowing them down weirdly in a straight line. So they've both gone on to another lap, but yeah, Glennie got ahead of Wren, then Wren got back ahead of Glennie, and then Glennie got back ahead of him again. But I think Wren's problem is maybe a little more terminal because he really is slow through the first corner on this lap. The leader though now has a 0.8 second margin over Joseph Loke in second, but Loke was 0.2 quicker than him on the previous lap, so that gap is creeping down again. There they are through Surtees and into McLaren. We still have a race on our hands. Out of the window I can see Wren really creeping down the back straight now, so he's almost certainly heading for retirement now. So 7 3/4 minutes left then, coming up towards half race distance. has Joel Wren now pitted? I think he must have done. He's not come through on the end of the 7th lap. The lead gap, though, went down slightly, but I'd say it's come down again on the first part of this lap. I don't think Ollie Turner's had a brilliant run through Paddock and Druid, so yeah, that's definitely not 9/10 of a second now as they go down the Cooper Straight at the end of Sector 1, which is just there, but we're not getting sector times today, unfortunately, just the full lap times. And so we'll see in 15 seconds or so what the status is, but I think that Joseph Loke, as I said, is showing very, very impressive pace in this second race, considering he's probably on quite worn out tyres, as they all are. He is definitely closer now. Let's see, it's a 58.9 for the leader, a 58.6 and a new fastest lap for Joseph Loke in second. So Loke definitely having a go here. Into Druids, and the gap continues to creep down now, so Ollie Turner may have the lead, but he's not going to have an easy ride to the flag here, it would seem. Sort of dropping Ted Potts now in third, a little bit like they did in the first race. Potts finished somewhere drift, but well, he and Loke were only half a second apart actually in race 1, so that shows the improvement of pace here for Joseph Loke, who in race 1 was struggling to keep Ted Potts at bay, and now he's streaked ahead of Ted to the tune of nearly 3 seconds, and he's going after the leader of the race. I reckon he's been at least as quick as Turner, maybe fractionally faster again on this lap. That gap was 0.6 of a second. It's possibly about the same as they come through. Let's have a look then. Through goes Turner, a new fastest lap of 58.6, and actually he's a 10th quicker than Joseph Loke, so good response there from the race leader. Not wanting to give way here, not wanting to let Loke get close enough to attack. Joe Wren, by the way, is still going. He's just creeping round, but I suppose with only 5 cars on the track, he may as well try and finish. And if anyone else were to fall by the wayside, he might even be able to scrape through an extra couple of points. But Wren, only 5th in the championship coming into this weekend, not necessarily a championship contender. You'd think it may serve him better to bring the car in and get it fixed. But these youngsters, they want their track time. That's what's always fascinating though about junior racing, is watching drivers develop over a season, seeing how they get quicker and quicker, even session by session, and that's what we're seeing here with Lokes. He has found a lot of speed compared to race 1, and that was only a few hours ago, so they've gone back, they've debriefed, they've had a look at the data, his onboards and whatnot, and they've said, right, this is where you can improve. You can brake later there, you can turn in earlier there, you can get on the power quicker there, and this is why these youngsters really benefit from having driver coaches that can really help guide them in the right direction to go quicker and quicker every time they get in the car. When you're never progressing at a faster rate than when you first start racing, and it's in that first season when if you're going to be good at this, that's when you really start to get good, usually quite quickly. Just saw them put a lap there on Joel Wren, who is limping around then, the man who won our first race of the day. 4 1/4 minutes still to go. Anything is still possible here between these top two. The gap came down again by about 3 to 2.5 tenths, quarter of a second or so on the previous lap. This time around it looks to have maybe gone back the other way. Let's see, it was 0.529. It is now 0.652. So yeah, it's ebbing and flowing by a tenth or so each lap, but Loke is in the mirrors, he's there, he's forcing the race leader to think about defending. Potts third still, Alfie Glennie some way back in 4th though, and Joel Wren not able to keep pace. His lap times, just to put them into perspective, are about 17 seconds off the leader. Now that's not Joel Wren's natural pace, so there clearly is a problem with the car. And he's been prevented therefore from being able to really put up a good race here, which is a shame because this could have been a really fascinating 3-way scrap for the victory. As it is, it's just a head-to-head between Ollie Turner and Joseph Loke, with now just over 3 1/4 minutes still to go. So with a few laps still remain in this one. They did 12 laps in 12 minutes in race 1, so that's about right. They're lapping just under a minute a lap, so we should get 15 laps in this one. And that is 12 completed now, so that's about right, isn't it? See, I can count sometimes. So 3 minutes left, 3 laps to go, more or less, for the Fiesta Juniors. Top two lapping almost identically that time, a 58.802 for Turner, a 58.833 for Loke, so only about 300ths off the pace of the leader. He's able to follow Turner around now as well, follow his line, see where he's quicker. Now he looks to have gained time through Paddock and Druids. That does seem to be where the second place man Loke is a little bit stronger, and maybe through the second half of the lap is where Turner has the edge. And so the gap's probably down to about half a second now as they turn into 30s, but then by the end of the lap will it have gone back out again? Clearways again. Joseph Loke applying the pressure. No, he's definitely close this time. That's not going to be 0.68 of a second. This is going to be more like 0.3 or 4 of a second, I think. Let's see. Turner comes across the start-finish line. It was 0.68, now 0.45. So, yeah, a good few tenths quicker that time. That was a good lap from Loke. He gained even more time in the second half of that 13th lap of the race. We're now just about 2 laps to go. He's almost within striking distance, but he's going to have to try and force a mistake out of Turner, I think. Turner a bit wide of the apex there through Druids, and this is definitely where Loke seems consistently able to take time out of him. And Turner a bit wide of the apex at Graham Hill, but sometimes you can actually use that to your advantage and get on the power a bit earlier. Sometimes the shortest route through Graham Hill bend, oddly, doesn't seem to be the quickest, and yeah, he got better exit speed and actually has pulled out the gap again going down the Cooper Straight. Wide again through Clearway. Once more, because the road really drops away from you there, you can sometimes carry more momentum on the outside line, even in the dry. Looks to me as though that gap's gone back out again this time, and we're now going on to what will be, I think, the penultimate lap. We're going to just about squeeze a 4th lap here, or a 16th lap, I suppose, out of the race. So it's not going to be a 15 lapper, it's going to be 16, I think, and unless they throw the checkered flag early. I know the last lap board is being readied, but I don't think it's been shown, actually. It's sort of being hung over the pit wall, but not actually displayed, which is a bit confusing. These drivers don't need any further confusion, as we found out in race 1 with the aborted start. But by my reckoning, we had time for 2 more laps, including this one, which is good news for Loke, bad news for Turner, because that's an extra lap that he has to defend, an extra lap that he could make a mistake, an extra lap that Loke could go for a do-or-die lunge. Right now, he's not really close enough. Turner is doing a good job of keeping him at arm's length, isn't he? Not letting him get close enough. Now the last lap board is fully displayed, and they will go on to their final lap, yeah, with about 5 seconds left on the clock. And it's a fairly tight one, but there is time now for 1 more lap. As long as you start the lap before the time elapses, you complete that lap, and that will be the end of the race. So the gap going on to the last lap was just a fraction under 0.6 of a second between Ollie Turner and Joseph Loke. Joseph, though, does not seem to be able to get that last car length or so. Now this could be interesting though, because they're going to catch Joel Wren to put a lap on him, I think, as they go through the final corner. So let's hope Joel's got his wits about him, but he's keeping an eye on the mirrors, because they're going to catch that back marker, which we know is going very slowly. Now they should just get away with it. They might catch him before the line, but that shouldn't be a huge issue. Yeah, they'll just pass him in a straight line. So up to the checkered flag. Ollie Turner makes up for the retirement in race number 1 to take the victory in the second race of the weekend here at Brands Hatch for the BRSCC Fiesta Junior Championship. Good victory for Ollie Turner. Joseph Loke was only half a second back though, so it may not be the biggest grid, but very close stuff between the top 2, and that was a real improvement in pace from the first race for Loke. Potts is 3rd, Alfie Glennie will come home a slightly lowly 4th, and Joel Wren finishes 2 laps down in the end, but does at least finish and scores the points for 5th place. So it could have been, again, a lot worse for him had he retired completely from that one. So really good racing all round there then. Turner the winner after a non-finish earlier on. Joseph Loke had a 2nd and a 2nd then, so 2 second place finishes for Joseph Loke, but that one was much more competitive. Ted Potts has a pair of 3rd place finishes, with Alfie Glennie at least getting to start that race, albeit a little bit off the pace down in 4th. Joel Wren at the back of the field. So that's it now for Fiesta Junior racing. As I said, though, more Ford Fiesta action coming up at the end of the day. Well worth sticking around for those of you watching at home. 6:10 we will have our 3rd and final Fiesta Senior race of the weekend getting underway, and if their first 2 are anything to go by, it should be a real cracker. So it's really, really close racing in all of the Fiesta races this weekend, be they juniors or seniors. As a busy paddock continues to prepare now as well for the next race that we'll be showing live, which is the TCR UK Championship with the Touring Car Trophy. Their pit lane opens at 5 o'clock, so we've got a little bit of a break now between this and our last TCR race action of the weekend. But been a mild day. I suppose there's a bit of a breeze here at Brands Hatch. It's been a bit chilly at times, but certainly more pleasant than yesterday was, particularly in the morning. And in fact, actually in the afternoon it rained as well. It was pretty wet all round yesterday at Brands Hatch, but no, today it's been a nice day. And the crowd on hand, hopefully enjoying their racing, and we've still got plenty more to come. I remind you that the TCR Championship battle has now taken another twist, with James Turkington taking the points lead, and he will also, with it though, carries extra success ballast now for race 2, whilst Lewis Kent drops a huge amount of success ballast, so it's all looking like it's going to be fairly close now in the TCR standings, and their second race, the anti-penultimate race of the season, will be coming up in about 30 minutes time. We'll start our build-up for it at just before 5 o'clock, so about 35 minutes before the build-up. Race start at 5:10. So, and as far as we understand, that is locked in place as well. That is when the race will start. So the TCR cars will be in action momentarily. We're just waiting for the drivers from the Fiesta Juniors to make their way down to the podium, rather than stretching our camera right down to the far end of the pit lane. We're getting the drivers down to the podium first, or the podium end of the pit lane first. The trouble is, gathering racing drivers together is like herding cats, and once they get out of their cars, they disperse and vanish into thin air, and they all want to discuss what happened in their race, and they want to go and be congratulated by their friends and family, which is all understandable, but you'd be amazed how long it can take to get a group of racing drivers from one end of the pit lane down to the other. Here at Brands Hatch, they stick them all in the back of a Jeep, and that carries them down the pit lane. But getting them into the Jeep can sometimes be a bit of a tall order. So when they do get into the Jeep, and when they have finished having all of their conversations, we will be able to hear from them. In fact, I think I can see the truck appearing at the end of the pit lane now, hopefully, so we should momentarily have drivers on their way. And they are now on their way as well. So we're going to head down now to Bryn, who I believe has got someone who was instrumental with running the BRSCC Fiesta Junior Championship. Bryn, who have you got?
But we are now down here talking Fiesta Junior Championship. Going to try and get a word with the drivers as they head down now, as you can see them approaching us for their podium. But to find out a little bit more about it, Laura's here. Now, Laura, tell us a bit about the Fiesta Juniors. It's something I know. I've been a part of it or watched it for a long, long time.
The Fiesta Juniors, we're a championship that have been around for quite a few years. I've been running it for a couple of years now. We run alongside the seniors.
We have a rolling start going on here on the track at the minute, so that hopefully will be a bit quieter from now. So carry on, please.
Thank you. So we pride ourselves on our family atmosphere. All of our drivers are really good friends. They support each other and help each other, and that's something we're really proud of.
Now, this is a championship that, as at the moment, we've got 5-6 cars, something out on the grid. So it's a championship that needs to grow again. But over the years, we've had some really, really big names, drivers that have gone on to do some quite good things.
Yeah, we have Aidan Moffat, Bobby Thompson. We've also just lost Josh Steed and Danny Harrison, who have gone up to GT5, so we're really proud of that. But they still come and see us. They came here yesterday to help us with our sampler day, so we're really pleased that they stay in touch and help us out.
So if there's a young person out there, a young driver out there that wants to find out what it's like to race tin tops, I'll wait for all these to fly past, and then we'll find out where it is they have to go. We've got the Radical S looking cars out there, the prototypes at the moment. They're making quite a lot of noise, but we'll get straight back to Laura in just a second. So Laura, if people want to find out about the championships, where can they go?
They can go to our website, BRSCC Fiesta Junior Championship, or our Facebook page, and contact the BRSCC office.
There you go, thank you very much indeed. You're free to stand down now, because I know you hate that sort of stuff, but there you go, Laura, telling us all about the Fiesta Junior Championship. Let's speak to the drivers then, shall we? Let's go to the race winner. Let's go to Ollie then. Ollie, well done. We didn't get to really speak to many of you drivers earlier on from the previous race, but well done today. It was tough conditions out there, particularly yesterday, but today was an unusual one.
Yeah, it started off with the conditions at the start of the weekend. It was thunderstorms, and now it's led to, well, cloudy sunshine, I guess. But yeah, I'm really pleased with it. We've had good pace in both conditions, so yeah, not much more I can ask for, really.
We've just been talking to Laura about the Fiesta Junior Championships as a whole. Now, for guys that are younger coming into the sport and learning tin top racing, it's a really good launch pad, isn't it?
Yeah, as some of the people watching earlier, it was a close race between me and Joel Wren, and that's what you want for young kids aspiring to be in the next generation of touring car racing, really. And I'm really pleased to be part with it, and I hope that next year the grids grow and grow and grow.
Now, another bit of silverware for you. What's it mean for you at this age and this point in your career to still be getting the silverware?
I mean, it's nice to have all the silverware, but at the end of the day, I just want to have a good race. And yeah, I'm pleased that we've gotten the win today. It's put us back on track from earlier, so yeah, it's nice.
Well done, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
There we go, so we've spoken to our race winner. Let's move on now. I've got Ted just over there. Let's go straight to Joseph. Well done to you. That was actually, for us not watching from the outside, 5 cars on the grid. You'd think there'd be no drama, there'd be no real action, but it's a bit different when you're out there, isn't it?
A lot different, yeah. Just staying on the back of him for nearly the whole race. I would fall back and then catch back up again. Just couldn't quite get close enough to make a move.
But you're learning a craft, and when you can race at places like Brands Hatch, which is an iconic circuit, and people that have raced here have gone to do some pretty amazing things. For yourself at your stage of the career, how do you rate the Fiesta Junior Championship?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
How do you rate the championship?
Oh, brilliant. It's a really good way to get started in motorsport, in car racing. It's really good.
Great stuff. Well, go and get your trophy. Well done.
Thank you.
There you go. Our second place says Joseph. Let's move on to Ted, if we can bring Ted over as well. So we've had a word from 2 of them. Let's pick up the whole lot. Why not? We get the old full house here. Well done. 3rd place.
Yeah, that was a interesting race, really. I mean, I was gaining and getting some quick laps in to the top 3, and obviously Joel dropped off. And coming out of Druids, I got a bit of a fluttering, what I think to be the exhaust manifold. So I was a bit off power because my pace dropped off quite a bit. But you know, again, like, that's racing, innit? And a 3rd place is good. I'll take the points.
You have to manage these problems, don't you? But you have to try to forget about it. Much like we've got the cars flying past right now, you still do have to focus on what's going on. And having a slight problem with a car but not sure what it is, that can be a massive, massive problem for your focus.
Yeah, because, you know, being a junior, I'm not completely like mechanically minded. I don't know exactly what's happening. And, you know, in my head, all I'm thinking is I'm in 3rd, I need these points for the championship. You know, let's just do what I can and just bring it home.
Well, you did it. Well done.
Cheers.
Well done.